All right, welcome back to Book Nook Brews. Today we are covering chapters, what was it, 9?
Through 10.
10 through 17. And we also finished both part 1 and part 2 completely today.
Yes.
But before we get into that, let us talk about what brews we're drinking. Right now I have myself a Modelo, just a regular classic Modelo with some lime and salt. And then you?
I have a Tommy's.
A Tommy's Margarita, for those that don't know.
Brought to you by yours truly.
Yes. I make a mean Tommy.
Hell yeah.
I make Tommy mean. So yes, today we are covering chapters 10
through 17.
through 17 were I forgot how many chapters, but we had like 2 or 3 chapters left in part 1.
Yeah.
And then all of part 2.
Which part 2 was very little chapters.
Very little, but it dropped a bomb.
Bruh.
So I guess we should just
Quick news for the girlies and all. Your girl got a Kindle.
She did.
I got a Kindle for my birthday. And I stop at nothing. I am insufferable right now.
She is. But always. So
I keep trying to show it off to literally you who got it to me. Oh, yeah. You want to see my book? Oh, you want to see what I mean? Insufferable. Anyways, I thought that was notable to just to mention. So I will upgrade my Kindle game very, very soon. We're getting there. Baby steps. Yeah. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the recap. And boy, do we have a lot. So we're still in part 1 right now. Chapter 10. Inez and Mr. Hayes don't go after Mr. Sterling. Whit finds it concerning that Sterling is flaunting the ring instead of stowing it away. As they leave, Inez asks Whit questions about him, learning that he has 2 siblings and he's the youngest, or as Inez called him, he's just fated to be a soldier. When Inez is back in her room, she finds a letter beneath her father's shoe. It was a letter addressed to Monsieur Maspero from her mother, Lourdes Olivera, addressing her concerns about Ricardo's behavior. She fears he may be involved with the wrong people and in illegal activities. She also included the name and date of the location she wanted him to meet her. Inez is left wondering why her mother thought her uncle was a criminal. Chapter 11. Inez is determined not to leave Egypt. She has more questions than before. She can't go like this. So Inez quickly packs up a separate bag with her immediate necessities for the escape. Also, as she is doing this, she touches the wooden box again and sees another memory of the woman. This time, she connects how familiar the magic tasted compared to the ring and thinks she may have seen Cleopatra. Afterwards, Tío Ricardo comes into her room and Inez attempts to ask him to let her stay once again, but he continues to deny her request. He walks her down to the lobby and introduces Inez to her chaperone, who will accompany her to Argentina, and keeps saying her name wrong. Once they are left alone, Inez tricks her into thinking that their ship leaves tomorrow instead of today, and pushes her to meet her friends. And then, once she leaves, she escapes the hotel lobby. And then it shows like a brief point of view of Whit, just to include it in here, but it's not really much. He's just fawning over Inez, even though he says he shouldn't or doesn't want to be involved with her. Chapter 12. Inez is asking people if they know about the Elephantine, her uncles both. Everyone shakes their head at her until this one boy approaches her and tells her he is part of the crew and can take her there. She confesses that her uncle won't know she is on the boat and wants to surprise him. The boy, Kareem, agrees to help her. Inez eavesdrops on a conversation between Whit and Tio Ricardo, where her uncle says that if Cayo, her father, hadn't lied to him, he would still be alive. He blames him for all of it and says Cayo deserves it. Inez concludes that her uncle is clearly after something and her father stood in his way. Part 2, Up the River. Chapter 13. Inez helps Kareem cook and clean around the boat, learning that many of the crew have no idea what Tio Ricardo and Abdullah are after since they don't really share what they find. She serves food to her uncle, Whit, Mr. Fincastle, and his daughter. Thankfully, no one recognized her, and she learns that due to her parents' death, Tio Ricardo became a wealthy man. Chapter 14. Inez did a great job going unseen until the next day. After she finished scrubbing the floors, she gets up and goes overboard due to the wind making the boat move aggressively. Whit sees Inez and attempts to help her up when he sees a Nile crocodile 10 yards away from her. He jumps into the water with her and pulls her under, having her wait underwater for a couple of beats. When they rose to the surface, Mr. Fincastle and his daughter, Isadora, kill the crocodile. Once they're on the boat, Mr. Fincastle points his gun at Inez and asks her to tell him who she is. Whit vouches for her. Everyone leaves them, and he tells Inez that she needs to face her uncle now. She asks him to come with her and be by her side, thinking they are friends, but he denies it. He tells her that she's thinking too much into his behavior and that the kiss they had didn't mean anything. It was just a kiss. They both go to face her uncle regardless, and he immediately goes into thinking about how to get her off the boat. This time, Whit chimes in and suggests that Inez should stay, that she proved herself. Inez tries to convince her Tio Ricardo to let her stay, explaining she could be of use due to the memory she keeps seeing of Cleopatra. She thinks that some of the magic may have latched onto her, and so he agrees to let her stay. She walks out, but not before eavesdropping on Whit and her uncle about her. Tio Ricardo warns Whit away from Inez, but he adamantly tells him that he is not interested in her at all. And to quote him, her beauty doesn't turn his head. Chapter 15. In the morning, Mr. Fincastle and Isadora properly introduce themselves to Inez. Apparently, Mr. Fincastle is in charge of security. Mr. Fincastle doesn't quite agree with Inez being on board, calling her delicate in contrast to his daughter, who is not delicate at all. Right now, they're on their way to Philae. Philae? Yeah. I think that's how I'd pronounce it.
I think so.
But are making a pit stop at Aswan to grab supplies. With Mr. Fincastle thinking Inez is there to be a backup photographer through her sketches, Inez takes that opportunity to force herself into her uncle's plan to render images of what they see. Chapter 16. After breakfast, Inez tries to talk to her Tio Ricardo about her parents. He shares with her that her parents came to Egypt because he drained all of his finances and refused to take money from institutions that demanded artifacts in return. Zazie, his late wife, convinced him to reach out to Cayo and Lourdes, and they accepted. Her father loved it from the start, while Lourdes took a while to come around to loving Egypt. But once she fell hard. Her mother played pranks on people on board, which seemed out of character for her mom. Inez tried to get more from him, but he doesn't budge, telling her that he just doesn't trust her. She then hits him with the same thing, telling him he hasn't proven himself trustworthy to her. She wants to know more, but he never tells her what they're looking for. She finds Whit and they start to chat, when all of a sudden the boat dips and then dips again. Whit immediately tells her to go back to her cabin, and she finds her uncle and he tells her that if the ship capsizes, she needs to get out through the window and leave everything behind. She hears a loud sound and sees her uncle reading her mother's diary, grabbing some loose sheets and folding them. Once he left, she ran into her room and began to read her mother's diary. In one of the entries, her mother says, "My brother and I can never go back. He's gone down a road that I will not follow. But I can't bear to go to the authorities. Oh, but how can I write such a thing? I must. His threats terrify me. The last time we argued, it hurt to pick myself up from the floor. Ricardo said he hadn't meant to hurt me, but he did. Even now, I carry the bruises. I can't ignore the truth. I fear for my life. I fear for Cayo's life. And I don't know what I should do. He is my brother, but he is a murderer." At first, Inez couldn't understand it, and then the words clicked in her head. It must have been her tío Ricardo who killed her parents. If he did it once, he most certainly could do it again. Whit's point of view. Whit is helping keeping the boat afloat, but fleeting images of Inez go across his mind. He tells himself he can't think of her right now. The only girl he had the right to think about was the one back in England. Chapter 17. They finally make it back to Aswan. Inez meets Abdullah and her daughter Farida, the photographer. Abdullah decides to tell Inez what they are seeking / their mission, and that is to lead excavation teams in various locations with the hopes of understanding the heritage of their countrymen. No one takes anything or reveals what they have seen. However, deep down, Inez doesn't buy that this is what they're doing. How could they be hiding something like this, and why would they call it dangerous? Whit's point of view. Whit is at a brothel because his informant told him that Sterling's agent would be there. He finds out that Sterling usually sees a woman called Blanche at the brothel. He goes up to a woman and gives her money to bring him to Blanche. Once he's with Blanche, who is almost naked, he tells her to put her clothes back on and that he needs something else from her. And that's how this set of chapters end. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if her uncle killed her parents.
No?
I feel now with that journal entry or diary entry, it's a little too obvious.
Okay.
This is, in my head, is distracting us. This is what, like, the author is, like, shaping it out to be, oh, yeah, obviously it's
This is Ricardo.
the uncle. But then I feel like she's probably going to confront her uncle. And then her uncle is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then she'll probably, like, you know, show her the evidence or show him the evidence and show the diary entry. Then he's like, oh, shit, I never thought they thought of me that way. But the real enemy is blank. Then he reveals who was going after her parents or something, right? But I feel like it's getting pointed at, like, to the point where it's too obvious to be the uncle at this point.
But how do you explain the bruises then?
He might have just been, just because he is, like, abusive or whatever doesn't mean he was trying to kill his own sister.
Okay.
Right? Maybe it was a serious conversation and he was passionate about his opinion to the point, you know, people get lost in the words that they're saying so much so that they go, I guess, insane would be a word. I guess it's a stretch, right? But I mean, he's just so, I don't want to call it passionate. I already said it, but I don't want to call it passionate because it's not right. Just because passion is because you have this positive feeling towards it, right? But he was more so,
maybe obsessed.
Sure. Yeah, I guess we could call it that. Maybe our theory of him being power hungry is still correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe they were talking about that. And he was very obsessed with getting that power and getting to Cleopatra's tomb and all that. But not to the point where he would kill his own sister. And so while I still think he is that power hungry guy that we guessed, we're being made to assume that it's him.
Okay.
He could very well be that insane abusive guy because of how, like we said, obsessed he is, but I don't think he's the murderer.
I think I find it so interesting that that's what you think. Just because like this is pointing you towards the direction of your theory that the uncle has something to do with their disappearance or their death.
Yeah.
But you are right. It is too, almost like too obvious.
Yeah.
However, I do think that the uncle is just not all that good.
No, and he's not. And you're right. That was my theory, but that was before we got all of this. Now we're kind of being fed. We're basically being told, hey, the uncle is the murderer, by the way. Right?
Or he is a murderer. Like the Lourdes sees her brother as a murderer, which we don't know what he killed, like who he killed.
Yeah.
Just yet.
But then at that, with that being said as well, we don't know what they saw. Right? That could be written from her point of view, but we don't know what her view was.
Of the whole, yeah.
Right? There's always, in movies and even in real life, there's stuff that goes down. You only see one side, and now you automatically are made to think that, right? Because you have no other evidence of anything else happening.
Exactly.
So you're obviously, like, right? Like maybe she was, I don't know, running to what was going on, the event, right? And at that point, she sees her brother, I don't know, do something that makes it look like he killed somebody when maybe they were actually trying to help that person, but then something got cut off or whatever and they fell and it made it look like a murder. Something like, right? That's an example. I'm not saying that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be something like that where her mom saw her brother kill somebody, but that's not actually what went on.
Yeah.
Right?
She may have just seen as if he killed that person, but not quite. Which I'm wondering, well, I'm assuming that we're going to find out more about this in the third part.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to ask you.
Yes.
What do you think of Abdullah saying about the reason behind their whole projects? Do you believe it?
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, in the last episode, I also said I was sus of Abdullah. Right?
It sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
My bullshit meter is going off.
Yeah.
Like, how is your uncle gonna tell you that what they do is so dangerous, no place for a lady?
Yeah.
But you guys are just doing excavations just to learn about the heritage of your countrymen?
Yeah. No.
Bruh.
So, I mean, there's that too. We're still not given a lot of info on Abdullah whatsoever, but every line he drops is kind of sus. I mean, the fact that I was sus about him without him even doing anything yet in that first part, because I think our discussion in that first episode was, who do we think could be sus right now without even meeting the crew? And it's like, right now, well, the only one we knew was Abdullah, so I'm going to go with him. But now we have somewhat of a point to go that way as well, right? But I also, go ahead.
I was going to say, and for him to just volunteer the information of what they're doing, like, Tio Ricardo was just like, no, don't, like, it's up to you, like, don't tell her, if I remember correctly. And then he's like, no, she has the right. She has the right to know what happened, like, what her parents were involved.
Discovering the heritage.
Like, bruh, like, be for real.
Yeah.
Like, don't.
Yeah.
And she doesn't buy it because she's like, she found it like so off. How is this dangerous at all? Like, no.
Yeah. So I think we've met the murderer at this point.
Oh.
I just don't know who it is. Because it could very well end up being the uncle, But to me, that is going to be disappointing.
But you also said you're not sure if her parents are dead.
That is also true. Yes. Yeah.
So it could just be that they think something must have went down.
Yeah.
I do feel like the 4 people involved are Lourdes, Cayo, Tio Ricardo, and Abdullah. Well, actually 5 people. Because Whit is also sketchy.
Yeah.
He does some sketchy things, but I also feel like he's in it with the crew, but he also has his own personal objectives.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he's onto something that we don't know yet.
Yeah. And I for sure see the betrayal coming now. Mm-hmm. With the whole, I'm not attracted to her, and the deal that he made with Ricardo.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen where he's going to have to betray her. And he's like, I told you to not read into my feelings. This is what happens, right? This is business. I'm just here for business, and something like that, right? But then he's going to realize that he actually has feelings for blah, blah, blah. And then go back on her side. And then that's when it gets blech. But it's like now it's just becoming a little more obvious as well. So.
Which now we get more from the other side of Inez too, like talking about her feelings, where in the first part we don't really get that. We get more of like very friendly. For me, it seemed just very friendly. Now it's getting a little bit more in the romantic realm with the way that she's describing him and talking about her feelings. It's not a full lot. I have my cat right here who is reaching out with her paws, tapping my shoulder for me to give her pets. So she's above me right now, and but yeah, I do see more of the romantic tone now. Well, a little bit more towards a romantic tone, not fully, because they are just talking about friends right now. Which question, I had to read this scene I think at least 3 times.
Yeah. When
he rescues her in the water and they go underneath.
Yeah.
They're close. He brings their lips together, but is it to just give her like air? Because that's how I almost interpreted it afterwards. Because I'm like, they don't really kiss.
I read that it was a kiss. I thought it was after they came up. He like grabbed her face and like put mouth to mouth, but it could have been for air. Yeah, I don't quite remember, but I thought it was after, because it was like, oh, you're safe, and kiss.
Oh, I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I was just too focused on what happened when they were underneath the water, because he goes into the water, he grabs her, pulls her underneath, and as they're underneath, he brings their lips closer, touching to the point. And I believe I saw that he's like passing bubbles like to her.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
So,
but was it ever described like why that was the thing they did?
No,
like why they went deeper in the water?
Because I thought at first, I was like, did the crocodile like go under?
Go past them? Yeah. I don't know, but it didn't, because it was still on the way to them when I forgot his name, but that one guy killed it.
Fincastle?
Yeah.
Mr. Fincastle?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
I mean, to me, he's whatever.
I will say, I don't know if you caught on to this, but I feel like every girl that Inez has like come across is on her side.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know if it's just the author, her style, but Isadora like kind of winked at her or keeps giving her looks. Yeah. And Farida, the daughter of Abdullah, also winked at her.
Yeah.
Like, what is with the winking? Why are we winking at each other? Like, tell me the secret. I'm oblivious right now.
Or maybe they all just know something. Like, I mean, with her being the daughter of her parents, maybe they know something as well, or they know that she...
I hope she gets closer to them. At least Isadora.
I feel for, like, whatever goes down at the end, they are going to be there to help her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Fincastle's daughter, she knows whatever Fincastle is doing, right? Like, what he has to do, like, his job and all that. And then, what was her name? Farida. She knows, I mean, Abdullah, like
literally
like the person that was right there with their parents, right?
The photographer.
Right. So I feel like they're going to make a little team of their own, just like her parents had with Abdullah and Fincastle. And it's going to be like the next gen of that group.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Isadora, she's a great shot.
Yeah.
She knows how to shoot.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about it like that. But I like that.
Yeah.
Is this what the library knows? Isn't that what the second book is called?
What the library knows?
What the library knows?
Something like that, yeah.
Bring me the second book.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how yet, actually. But I was like, why is everyone winking at each other? But I'm like, I know this is somehow connected. They must know something or like are on her side. Because they all give each other that knowing look.
Yeah. Hey, I got your back.
And Inez like automatically feels that. She's like, oh. She's like, I like this.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really nice. I mean, I know you don't like this part, but like, what did you think of what fucking Wit says? That they're not friends. Like when you read that portion, like they're kind
like
of
when
like
he's talking
argument.
to the uncle.
No, when he's talking to Inez, because whatever he says to someone else, it can be interpreted both ways. Like,
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he could be telling the truth, but also maybe he's just like trying to get him off his back. Be like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
But what he tells to Inez, he's like, no, we're not friends. Like,
stop reading into my feelings and all that.
Like,
I just think
what an ass.
He's saying that, and I'm saying this from like a guy perspective.
Okay.
I think he's saying that because the more a girl or a woman is quote unquote reading into your actions and kind of pointing out that you're being flirtatious, the more it gets to the guy. Like the more it is like, okay, am I doing that? Am I actually flirting? And that's where you start thinking of the feelings, and that's where it could hit as well, right? So for him, for someone that likes to be closed off,
mm-hmm.
It's not so much saying, hey, we're not friends. I mean, we're only friends. Stop reading into me. Stop bothering me. All that. It's more so like, hey, I'm telling you, we're just friends. Stop digging deeper into this because you're only going to make me go deeper into this, and you're only going to make me show more feelings. And it's like that kind of thing. So the way he's saying it is saying, just shut up. Don't read into the feelings because I'm like, you're only going to get hurt. I only want friendship. But
no,
really,
he doesn't even want friendship.
Well, yeah, or whatever, right? But so the way he's saying it is that, but I think the actual meaning is you need to stop before I actually catch feelings type of thing. Yeah. So yes, he's being an ass, but on purpose because he thinks that is going to push her away.
No, and I definitely see that. And granted, like I feel like he doesn't, not necessarily, he's probably not even thinking about like the whole catching feelings, but it's more so like, I don't want to either have like any sort of feelings, whether that be friendship or romantic, because he has his own agenda himself.
Yes.
Not even just tied to what Tío Ricardo does or anything. Like he has his own thing that I think he wants to achieve, and he doesn't want her to get involved with it at all.
Because then it leads to that betrayal that he's going to end up
doing eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more so also, yeah, like you said, just get out of my way before something bad has to happen.
Yeah, and also the same thing, like pushing her away, which essentially is just going to bring her back.
Which could also mean he is also another suspect into the parents' disappearance.
True.
Right? Because it's like, hey, don't get attached because I know some shit that you don't want to know. And that could be low-key. If that ends up being the betrayal, is that he's involved in that, and then she just he accepts his apology, just like, oh, like, I didn't mean to do that, whatever, blah blah blah, but I do love you, blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, she's gonna be mad at him, but then she's gonna get over it.
But we've seen this type of story told twice now.
Yes.
We've seen it with the first book we read.
Yes, and it was stupid there.
No, that was the most ridiculous one.
Yeah.
We saw it in a little kind of like the Fourth Wing-ish, but it was more so the parents of the kids.
Yeah, I don't blame the kids.
It's a little bit more detached.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Yeah, if it happens here, I've had enough, and this book club ends, and that is it for the podcast.
No. I don't think he's like directly involved, but I do feel like Tio Ricardo might have told him to do like a certain action that may have caused them to disappear.
Yeah.
Or die or whatever.
Something, yeah.
So I don't feel like he has a full like direct involvement,
like responsibility.
Per se,
yeah, no.
But he has like some sort of culpability that she's gonna have to determine if it's worth to either keep their friendship or whatever feeling she may have for him later down the line, because obviously right now it's purely platonic and she more so has someone she feels like she can rely on, which I feel like is such a red flag for like right now. She should not be trusting anyone at all.
Yeah,
that's one thing she should know about the business, is to not trust anyone. I feel like maybe now it just clicks in my head, maybe the only reason why she trusts him is because he hasn't ratted her out about the little outing they had before she was supposed to quote unquote leave.
Yeah. No, and to you, it's still just like platonic and all that stuff. But to me, I see full romance in the book now, and I do not like enjoy that. And which is, I guess, it touches back on the topic that we talked about in the last episode. Is like, it's crazy how it's two different views here, and
because to me, this is truly a slow burn.
Yeah, and to me, this went straight like in the first set of chapters. It like started off.
But they have to meet at some point.
No, yeah, meeting is fine, but like, I don't know, like, because
I think you take, or I think you see like flirting immediately as romantic, but some guys are just flirts, but not at a romance. But that's how they feel like they are charming per se.
Yes, but I feel like I can detect that, like at least from the beginning of this book. Well, at least just in any book, I haven't really gotten one wrong, which leads me to believe, like, I mean, if this one proves me wrong, sure. But from the way things are written, I can kind of already kind of know that this is where that's going. And that's how I felt when I read the first set of chapters. I'm like, it to someone that probably reads like romance a lot, this is a slow burn. But to someone that doesn't read romance a lot, this to me seemed, this is romance straight away. Like even if it's not now, it's gonna lead there eventually. Mm-hmm. And it's just already like starting. Like I can already see that, and kind of like the snarky comments back to each other and all that stuff. The banter. To me, it was like, ugh, this is going somewhere. And I don't know why I automatically think that way, but it turns out to be.
I mean, yes. I mean, they put it there that way, you know. It gives you hints that there is something there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it isn't. For me, what I mean by slow burn is that they're not. I mean, we're halfway through the book, and she's not. Yeah, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, essentially halfway through the book, and we're not anywhere near like a full-on kiss. Yeah, he kissed her on the cheek, and I guess may have.
I did want to touch on that. They mentioned that was the second time. Was there a first time?
The kiss on the cheek was the first time. No.
Was that on the cheek?
Yeah, that was on the cheek.
Because when I read it, it was just the kiss at the carriage, or when he said goodbye to her, it was a kiss. I'm like, I thought that was on the cheek. But then the way they said it after the boat thing was like, oh yeah, kiss goodbye or whatever.
But no, I mean, to them, think about it again. Remember, we are at an old time. Like it's it's a different time period.
Yeah.
So for them, maybe a kiss on the cheek, they just consider like a full on kiss. But I'm not consider a full on kiss. They just called it a kiss. But it was always just a kiss on the cheek. It has not been a kiss on the lips.
Oh, okay.
Like what I remember reading Underwater, because she doesn't really talk about it afterwards. That's why I'm led to believe that they didn't kiss underwater. He was just trying to pass air, like, to her, since she brought her down like so quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm led to believe, as of right now, there has only been one kiss, and it's only been on the cheek, which is a odd move coming from Whit, because if he doesn't quote unquote have any sort of attachments to her, like, that's the part I was like, I don't think I would have liked a kiss on the cheek. Maybe like grabbing her hand and giving her a kiss there, I would have been okay. But for it to be within the first set of, like, the first part of the book to already kiss her on the cheek, I'm like, I would maybe pass this off in the second part, but definitely like not in the first part.
But I will also say a lot of South American countries do that.
Yeah.
Right? You say goodbye or you say hello by kissing on the cheek.
No, pues sí.
And while he may not be from there, he was around her parents. He's around all these Spanish speaking countries, right? And especially the countries where they're from, Argentina and Bolivia.
So why is she reading into that? If she knows that's their custom, why would she read into that? I mean, maybe it's the same thing. He is not of the same culture as her.
He's British, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he was around all these people. So maybe to him it was this is what they do. This is what he was accustomed to when he was around all these people, right? Because I mean, even Ricardo and his sister probably greeted and said goodbye that way, right?
True.
So to him it was like, all right, yeah, goodbye, and so that's why he's like, don't read into that, but she's reading into it. But
remember, she reads into it only as a friend, not romantically.
Yeah.
But you can also just see a little bit past it, because like, he's the only other boy around her age that has been introduced. Which, by the way, I wanted to bring up, I felt a lot of Whit's point of view these last few chapters weren't really that necessary.
No. Especially, like, I think it was the last two were like not even a full page, right? Or whatever. Except for
the last one where he goes off to Blanche.
Yes.
That's the only one that I wanted to talk about in a bit too. But the other ones, like, I almost hesitated to not include it, but it's like it's in there. I can just put like a little sentence in the recap. But like, he's just talking about like thinking about Inez when he shouldn't be thinking about Inez.
Which I also find like, like you find useless just because it was like really not necessary.
Yeah, I found it not important to the storyline.
And to me, it was not important to the storyline. I agree, but then also it kind of like threw me off from what was happening.
Yeah, no, because it goes from very serious to like, oh, I don't love her.
Yeah,
but like,
maybe.
But also in one of them though, he's like, I shouldn't be thinking about any girls. The only one who requires my attention is the one back home in England. I'm starting to think that girl is not an actual like girl, like a romantic love interest, but maybe like his sister.
Yeah, a family person. Yeah,
I think, because I know, again, you are not into romance or anything, but usually romance authors would include like a line of that sort of nature if they're like doing dual point of view, to make the reader kind of jealous but also feel for the girl,
like in that movie, the Christmas one, The Holiday, where he was getting texts from quote unquote women and she was reading them, and we were like, damn, he's seeing other people and now we're feeling for her. it turns out to be daughters
Yeah,
that we didn't know. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay.
Remember how you felt like that?
Yeah.
That's what romance authors do.
Yeah.
They'll say a line to make you think like, oh no, he's cheating, or not like he's cheating, but oh no, he has a woman back home or someone, and it's like, yeah, that's my third cousin.
And it ends up being his like
They're my best
dying
friend.
mom or whatever, like with cancer. Is like, yeah. But like
And
that's where that theory just popped in my head with you saying that.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's doing what he has to do to help whoever's back home?
Could get him money to.
Yeah, and that's
Pay for
why
that.
he feels justified in doing whatever betrayal is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I told you not to read into this because I'm gonna have to do this regardless of your feelings for me, because I need that person safe, or whatever. Right? That could also play into it.
Interesting.
Wow.
And now, going back to Wit doing sketchy things.
Yeah.
Going to Blanche. Yeah, Blanche.
Yeah.
Half naked.
Yeah.
He's like, no. I need something else from you. Could it just be information on Sterling at this point?
Yes, but I'm assuming her name is Blanche because she's French.
We.
Could it also do with what's, I forgot his name, but Monsieur something.
Monsieur Maspero?
Yeah, because he's also close to Sir. What's his name?
Sir Evelyn.
Evelyn. Yeah.
Jeez, you don't see him for a couple of chapters and you forget.
No, yeah, I don't know why, but the names of these characters are not sticking. I don't know if it's because I haven't gotten one that has been interesting, or I like to me, right? Like Wit, I remember because it's 4 letters, right? Wit, and then Inez. But then like Ricardo, I only remember because she would write it as Tío Ricardo, and I'm like, oh, that's in Spanish, right? If she would have just write Ricardo, I probably wouldn't have remembered. But if it's Tío Ricardo, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know that.
Important.
Yeah. Like her parents, I don't even like. I think her dad was Cayo, and then I don't know the mom. And you've said it like 5 times. Ludres. But
it's
then
not a common. Well, no, I'll retract my statement.
Yeah, I think it's more of a common like middle name, no, than it is a first name. Like something Ludres blank.
I think so.
Right.
I've seen it like very few times as a first name.
Yeah.
Maybe once because of my mom. But I see it as a very elderly woman kind of name. But it's like you were telling me you called the baby right out the bat, right out the womb.
Yeah.
Ludres?
Yeah.
Bruh, get the
That's such a cute Ludres. Like,
what that baby do to you?
You said lettuce? But yeah, I can't seem to remember these names. But yeah, what if like her being French, she has a tie with Monsieur whatever
Maspero.
Musketeer, and maybe that gets him more info on Sir Evelyn, and then also just on the parent. Maybe we're thinking too much into it. Maybe it's not him going about and doing a bad thing. Maybe he's trying to get info on what happened to the parents for Inez, right? Or something. I don't know.
I do feel like at least the like this point of view is probably the only helpful and necessary part, and left you thinking like, damn, what is he trying to do? Like, keep talking, let me know. And no, they cut it there. But that was probably like the most impactful point of view from his point of view from these set of chapters, because the other ones were just like, no, I don't like Inez, but no.
Yeah.
So, I do feel like Wit and Inez are probably going to get closer in the third one.
Yeah.
And I do think that there may be a point where she separates from her Tío Ricardo.
Yeah.
Or finds out something else, which causes her to deviate from being near him.
Right.
So, but I'm just curious as to what's that going to be once they get to Filet. The P one. The only one I could understand was S1.
Yeah.
And watch it's probably not even pronounced that way, but still. So yeah, I'm really liking the book so far. A little slower, I think, in this side, just a tad. But like the biggest, like I guess, action piece was her getting onto the boat and then the crocodile.
Yeah.
And then finding out those diary entries. But it's like, well, do we like? Maybe it's just a warped point of view. We still have so much left to see. Like Inez has nothing. Like she doesn't know her parents at all, and I feel like her Tío Ricardo keeps throwing that in her face. Like, you don't know your parents. Everyone keeps telling her you don't know your parents, and that sucks.
Yeah.
It makes her feel bad because it's true. She doesn't know her parents, but at the same time, it's like, what do you want her to do? But yeah, I'm excited. I'm liking this book.
Yeah. I'm liking the story. But I guess I'll leave it there until the Brews review. Because I have thoughts. But I won't spoil that just yet. So if you want to know how I feel about it, check out the last episode. Yeah.
So 2 more? Oh, no.
2 more, yeah. But I mean, we'll see. I think you said part 3 was the longest one.
Yes.
So I guess a lot of stuff is going to go down in that one.
Yeah, because this last one was just 7 chapters. I believe this next set is about to be like a little bit over 10, maybe 11 or 12. It's a little bit of a thicker one, my dudes. So
yeah. So buckle up.
Buckle up.
We're probably going to get a ton of info on this one.
And I'm pretty sure we're probably going to be left on a cliffhanger, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
But I'm excited. So, next week,
episode 23.
Episode 23, we'll be covering part 3.
The entirety of part 3.
The entirety of part 3, which is going to be a little bit thicker, but not too much. So, yeah, we'll see you next week to cover that chapter or part 3, as well as to announce what August book will be.
Which is my birthday month.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll choose a good birthday book.
Birthday book.
Yeah. So we'll see. Because I haven't even thought of that. I completely forgot.
Oh my gosh.
So we'll see.
Oh boy. Alrighty.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.